Welcome to the next edition of Say What? And we were in the office today and we were talking about, what would we do in case of an emergency here at the office, right? And frankly, I don't really know where all the batteries are. I don't,
or
I'd be hurting.
A flashlight, anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Julie, she's our content director, and so we thought we'd sit down and really talk about, supplies that you need in a weather emergency or in a power outage. Of course, being Energy Ogre, we should know some of these things, so we're going to share what we know.
Right, for sure.
So when the power goes out, first of all, what's the first thing do you think we should do?
Well, you need to contact your service provider, which is not your retail electric provider, but the TDSP for your area. So Encore, Centerpoint, TNMP, etc. And most of them now have outage trackers online where you can look on, so you'd have to have a little juice in your iPad or your iPhone or what have you.
Right.
But you can go and look on the map and you can kind of see. I know I came home the other day and we had a storm here and just my half of the street, of course, was out. And
it wasn't only just your house?
It wasn't just my house.
You didn't have a little shade cloud over your house.
But so I was able to go online and on the map I was able to see on my street there were 14 houses out.
Okay.
And so I didn't have to call to notify them.
Right.
I knew they were aware. But so if you don't see your area on the map or whatever, you can always call and they'll be able to maybe sometimes give you an idea of
how long it's going to be off.
Yeah, and that's always a very large window, but
between 8 hours and 18 days.
Exactly. Just depending, and especially if it's a weather related event, if the weather's still happening, then obviously they have no idea.
Speaking of
how
weather,
fast to get to you.
This is funny. So it's not funny, but it is funny because I moved down here from Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Not really familiar with Texas. I mean, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, so I get tornadoes. Get it, got that right. Don't know about hurricanes so much.
Yeah.
2 weeks into being here, Harvey comes.
Oh dear.
And so we just get all moved in, settled in, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, this could be serious.
Yeah.
Not prepared at all. I had no clue what to do. I know much better now, today, what I would do in this situation.
Sure.
Let's pray that never happens again. However, I mean, the simple little things, like just stocking up with food and water. Because if you don't plan in advance, you go to the store and guess what's gone?
Oh,
food and water.
Food and water, right.
Right.
And also that stuff is, finding stuff that's easy to store. So just having a carton or a case of water that, it doesn't have to be cold. It's going to last for a long time. And then, some filling but snackable foods that can last you and tide you over for a while. You don't want to have to rely on
7 cans of tuna.
Yeah. Oh, that is not. Hopefully, you don't have to
you
reach into the beans, because that's the only thing left in your pantry. Yeah, but having some trail mix or some granola bars or things like that are
protein shakes, whatever it is that you like to eat. Because if you're stuck eating it for some time, you don't want to get too sick of it, right?
Yeah, of course, and you don't want to rely on what's left at the store.
But yeah, you know what? And there's a little tip that I read online. It was very funny that if you want to keep things cold, and if you don't have your power for quite some time, you can put it in Ziploc baggies and put it inside your toilet bowl.
Oh.
What do you think about that?
Well, that's brave. I think it depends.
They say it's
willing.
Completely safe.
Well,
the water's safe.
I suppose that's That's
All
a
right.
fair point.
Well, and of course,
desperate times.
Desperate times call
Maybe
for desperate
if the power's out for multiple days.
Well, it does. You can put bottles of beer in there.
Oh, well, there you go.
See?
I trust that.
There's a reason for everything.
Because that's going to be safe.
The other thing, too, another good tip, and I got some of these online because, you don't think of some things.
Oh, sure.
Hand sanitizer. I always have that on hand. Baby wipes, all those types of things.
Yes, baby wipes are good for all kinds of things.
If it's good for a baby's tush, it's good for just about anything.
Right, because, if you're not going to be able to have, clean your face and things like that, if you're going to be kind of
grungy,
no one needs to feel, it's going to be bad enough. So just being able to refresh is helpful for sure.
The other thing, too, I have no idea where my flashlights are. None.
Yeah, and especially if you're in an emergency situation where the light has just gone out and it's dark everywhere. Everybody should know. If you've got your phone handy, but
you got your flashlight
you got
on
to
your
figure
phone.
out where the flashlight is. But if you're going to have few hours out, then you need that juice in your phone for sure. So
one thing I learned too with Harvey is that batteries, the AA's, all those go out really, really quick, and the D batteries. So another good tip is a flashlight that takes C batteries, because if the batteries go out quickly.
For sure, and
right?
that's going to last you a little bit longer. Also, those are generally speaking a little bit heftier of a flashlight. I have a mag light in every room. Not every room,
I was going to say, all right.
But I have multiple. If the electricity goes out and I'm in the front half of the house, I have 2 places to go. Then there's one in the back. Right. But so it's gonna last a little bit longer, and it's gonna produce more light if you really need.
We always run out of batteries in the house, so we have to steal from the remote controls, all that type of thing. So,
yes.
It's always a good resource if you need it, right?
Right, for
Stealing.
sure.
Robbing. All right, we need, candles. Of course, we got to have candles.
Right, especially because that way, it might bring a little bit of a pleasant ambiance to an unfortunate event.
I just don't consider my power out with 2 kids and a husband very romantic, so I'm just saying.
Right. But
and maybe some unscented, because
yes.
if I used all the candles in my house, I would have aroma confusion.
Yes,
in a big way.
Big headache for sure. And also a nice jar candle and unscented, something to where you're not dripping everywhere and
very true. Very
can't see what you're messing
So make
up.
sure you have candles. We've got batteries, candles, snacks,
right,
hand sanitizer.
Water.
Why I
yes,
had hand
sometimes.
sanitizer on the top of the list, I'm not sure.
Well, because
I'm keeping my things cold in
right,
the toilet.
so you don't want to be continuously
That's right.
flushing.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Matches, that's the other thing. Always have matches on hand, because you don't think about it, or a lighter or something that you can,
Yeah. Having just kind of a little MacGyver kit, either in the utility room or knowing where in the junk drawer that you have access to kind of those things that we don't need in regular everyday life anymore, or as frequently, I guess I should
or
say.
even storing it in one area, one easily accessible closet like upstairs, something where you know where everything is.
Yeah, almost like next to your first aid kit, you could have your little your hurricane kit or your bad weather kit, just something to where and everybody knows, you just grab that and it's got all of your little essentials.
My first aid kit is in my car right now. I guess I need to get a new one.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing to think on, knowing how to operate your garage door. A lot of us have electric garage door openers and things like that, so knowing where your emergency latch is so that you can get your car out if you need to.
If you really need to.
Knowing how to work those things.
Right. Anything else? So, this is another tip that I read. Solar walkway lights, they make great lanterns. I never thought about that. That's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
And they did say that you should put a few rocks in there to add some weight to help them balance a little bit. But it's an option if you need some light.
Yeah, for sure.
Get
Any
creative,
little bit,
in other words.
Yes.
It's really the key.
And also know what your resources are around your house. I think that's part of it as well. Just as aware as you can be of your environment, what you have available, and then just put it somewhere on the list. My sister, every time she goes to the store, she buys Comet because she's certain she's probably out. She's never out of Comet. But just like every now and again, pick up the batteries. Just make sure that that's just, if it's sort of on your monthly or bi-monthly add to list, to make sure you're always prepared.
Have you been without power for an extended period?
I have. Not too terribly long, because I disappeared a family because I don't have a generator for my house, and I have siblings who do. So I prefer to go where you have some sort of access. But but I have been. My house was several days without power, so making sure once it was kind of clear that it was not coming back on within 24 hours, kind of emptying out stuff that was definitely going to cause me major ruckus in the fridge. Yeah. And just going ahead and getting rid of stuff like that. And then I would go and charge things, and so I'd have it because you just don't want to be in case of an emergency. But that was during Harvey, and so it seemed the weather was still occurring. So
that's right.
So you never knew. I didn't want to be without the ability to call for help, and I don't have a landline.
It was 2 weeks without power at one point. It was up in Missouri in an ice storm. It was it was cozy for a while.
Right. For a while, it's kind of fun because you're like, oh, this is
great.
I just have to relax. I have to figure out who I am without TV and things
Right.
like that.
Yeah. Learn to make the most of it. The other, my other biggest tip is make sure you have games on hand.
Yeah.
Make the best of it and enjoy time with family and loved ones and have
Yeah,
some fun
yeah.
because these will be memories for life.
For sure. Slumber parties with all the friends and family.
That's right. It's a party. All right. Anything else that you have to add that you can think of?
I think just staying calm too. Just being
Yeah.
sure that you know,
The power will come back.
yeah, the power will
Relax.
come back, and also your impatience is not going to make it happen any faster.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, they can only move as fast as they can move. So,
Right.
and you are definitely not the only person calling them.
That is
So
very true.
just a little deep breath and,
and
a
realize
little,
that they are human beings and they have feelings.
yes,
And be
and
nice.
chances are they may be without power too. You never know.
That's
So.
exactly right. All right. Well, hopefully we've given you a few tips that you can use. If not, just throw it on away, right?
Exactly.
No. All right. We'll see you next time.